Worthy rocketing up the ranks. Elliott back in the driver's seat. Harris versus Warren. Volume concerns for Williams and White. Stand by for this week's top 5 fantasy headlines. Headline number 1, Worthy's ADP rising almost as fast as he runs. The selection of Xavier Worthy in the first round of last month's NFL draft has all of us salivating at the possibility Kansas City's offense has finally replaced an element vacated 2 years ago by Tyreek Hill. It's worth noting, Worthy isn't looking to become the next Tyreek Hill, although nobody will complain if he eventually does. Instead, the 165-pounder told reporters he hopes to emulate another Andy Reid protege, the similarly sized Deshaun Jackson, a 3-time Pro Bowler who retired in 2023, having led the NFL on 4 separate occasions in yards per reception. Whatever the case, as NFL.com reminded us this week, the Chiefs have become more methodical, especially last season without Hill. In 2023, Patrick Mahomes' average depth of target was a career-low 7.2 yards. In 4 years as a starter with Hill available, Mahomes' average depth of target was 9 yards. It peaked at 9.9 in 2018. Bringing in Worthy with his blistering 4.21 speed to work alongside another deep threat and free agent Marquise Brown, who could also boast sub-4.3 speed, should help Mahomes reclaim some of that lost ADOT. The infusion of speed should also free up Travis Kelce, who could rebound slightly after an off 2023 campaign. Mahomes and Kelce are available at slight discounts from previous seasons and early best balls. But what about that receiving core? If you're doing your best ball drafts on Underdog right now, you'll pay more for Worthy, currently wide receiver 34 with a late 4th round average draft position, than Hollywood Brown, who is going in the middle of round 5 as wide receiver 35. Rashee Rice, facing uncertainty due to off-field issues, is now going as wide receiver 40 early in round 6. It's been a quick ascent for Worthy. While it hasn't reached the same level, I remember the last Chiefs rookie who got an ADP rocket ride to the top of the ranks. In 2020, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, his ADP went as high as 6 overall. He finished the year as running back 22. Still, Worthy's price here isn't outrageous. Jackson finished his rookie season under Reid in Philadelphia as fantasy's wide receiver 29. But if Rice's growing off-field issues persist, the price for Worthy and Brown could continue rising. Be careful not to chase them up too far, too fast. Headline number 2, Back to the Future with Zeke and Big D. As DallasCowboys.com's Patrick Walker wrote, he's back. There's no need to check the date on your calendar because it is indeed 2024. And yes, Ezekiel Elliott is preparing to suit up for the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones is excited. We are keenly interested in seeing what the future might look like with Zeke, the owner and general manager said in announcing the return. Needing to clear cap space, the Cowboys released Elliott following the 2022 season. He signed with New England and finished with 955 yards from scrimmage and 5 touchdowns and 5 starts for the Patriots. His 235 touches demonstrated that the 28-year-old still has plenty of gas in the tank. So what does he offer us this season? Elliott finished 2023 as fantasy's running back 30, but that's not the whole story. He took on a featured role after a high ankle sprain suffered in Week 13, sideline starter Ramondre Stevenson for the rest of the past season. The results might surprise you. Elliott was fantasy's running back 7 from weeks 13 through 18. His 15.6 points per game average over that span was 12th best among all NFL backs. We call that running back 1 production, people. Considering none of the Cowboys' 8 draft picks was a running back, Elliott claiming the primary role in Dallas is all but promise. Sure, we'll see Rico Dowdle, perhaps Deuce Vaughn, maybe even Royce Freeman get some turns, but Elliott is a proven talent who rarely misses time. As a result, he's left from running back 60 to running back 39 in the last week on Underdog. Even if he continues to rise into running back 3 territory, there's still value given the anticipated workload in a high-powered Dallas offense. If you're enjoying this content, you'll love the Football Guys Daily Update. The biggest stories in football summarized, explained, and delivered straight to your inbox every day. Sign up and check it out. It's totally free, and you can unsubscribe at any time. You'll find a link in the description below this video. And while you're there, like, subscribe, demand notifications, and comment. Headline number 3, will Steelers' lack of commitment create value for Harris? The Steelers declined the 5th-year option for the 2025 season for Najee Harris, making him a free agent after the 2024 season. It's a surprise given that Harris has 3 1,000-yard performances in 3 NFL campaigns. He's also been durable, playing in all 51 regular season games over that span. Meanwhile, there have been changes for the better in the Steel City. While we all had issues with his approach as head coach in Atlanta, I don't see anybody arguing that Arthur Smith isn't an upgrade over Matt Canada as Pittsburgh's offensive coordinator. In addition to changing the play caller scheme, the Steelers upgraded the offensive line with 3 draft picks, including first-round tackle Troy Fautanu, who joins last year's first-round tackle Broderick Jones on the revamped unit. The Steelers slightly reduced Harris's workload last year, giving more carries to Jaylen Warren, who's also a better pass-catching threat out of the backfield. This puts him on the field more often. And because of that, Harris played his fewest snaps, 53% of his career in 2023. But he also had a career best 4.1 yards per carry and 8 rushing touchdowns. Bigger picture, 3 straight seasons with 250 plus carries, at least 8 TDs, 0 games missed, and better than 10 fantasy points per game over that span make Harris a super reliable, albeit less exciting fantasy option. So how should we approach this as investors? Well, Harris's price began to fall when news about the Steelers declining his option broke. It's not falling dramatically, but it's falling 2 spots in the first 2 days. At the same time, Warren is raising slightly. Harris is running back 23 on underdog, available with the 85th pick. Compare this early 7th round ADP to Warren's, who is running back 28 going at the tail end of that same round. You can pick your poison here. The direction you take might depend on how you're building your roster. If you took risks earlier in your draft, Harris is likely to deliver steadier production at cost, while those who played it safe might benefit from Warren's affordable upside. Headline number 4, could Corum be a limiting factor for Kyren Williams? When the Rams last won the Super Bowl 3 seasons ago, they used a stable of running backs that included Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson Jr., and Sony Michel. According to Eric Williams of Fox Sports, head coach Sean McVay appears to be taking a similar approach this season, selecting Michigan product Blake Corum in the 3rd round of the 2024 NFL Draft. At 5'8", 205 pounds, Corum was a true workhorse back, helping lead Michigan to a national championship last season. McVay sees similarities in the running styles of Corum and current Rams bell cow and fantasy powerhouse Kyren Williams. I think there are a lot of similarities, McVay said. Kyren will put Blake under his arm and be a great mentor. Hopefully mentoring is the extent of it. Williams was a breakout star last year. He averaged 21.6 touches per game last season and finished 3rd in rushing despite missing 5 games due to an ankle injury. He finished the season as running back 7. Volume paved the way for that success, which was even more apparent when, upon returning from that injury, Williams went on a league-winning tear. From weeks 12 through 17, when it mattered most to fantasy managers, Williams' touches increased to 25 per game. He was fantasy's running back 2 over that span. So fantasy managers should ask, could Corum emerge as a limiting factor for Williams? The team needed depth, but ESPN's Sarah Barshop contends that day 2 draft capital expended shows how important the Rams viewed it. You'll find Williams going off as running back 7 on underdog and running back 5 on best ball 10s. That price began dipping with the addition of Corum. Williams' average draft position went from 13th overall pre-draft on underdog to 20th overall post-draft. If that trend continues, leverage it by leaning into it. Headline number 5, talk of timeshare keeping White's price in check. The Buccaneers have had the league's worst rushing attack over the last 2 seasons, 82.9 yards per game to be exact. And PewterReport.com advised us this week that was one of the biggest takeaways from the offensive coaches speaking on Monday. Incoming offensive coordinator Liam Cohen is tasked with building the framework for the rushing attack to be successful, but it will come down to personnel. Right now, Rachaad White is the clear lead back. The 4th round pick, Bucky Irving, is on the radar. Cohen and running backs coach Skip Peete spoke highly of how the 5'9", 192-pound Irving can impact a game if he earns a role behind White, who finished last season as fantasy's running back 4. Not surprisingly, volume was a significant factor in that finish. White's 272 carries tied him with Christian McCaffrey for the 2nd most in the league, behind only Derrick Henry. With 64 catches, White's 336 total touches were also 2nd most in the NFL, behind only McCaffrey's 339. Even though White's role is well-defined, his post-draft ADP reflects possible concerns about his workload. He's being drafted as running back 14 on underdog. Since the draft, his average draft position has fallen from 48th overall to 52. White is a value in that price range, even assuming a slightly diminished workload. Don't shy away. That's it for me, Bob Harris. I'll be back next Friday with more fantasy news and shifting values that matter to you. Also, watch for my fantasy notebook every Monday morning at footballguys.com.